Hey everybody, and welcome to the Intentional Harmony Podcast. This podcast is for musicians looking to jumpstart their career, inspire others, and get motivated to make the life of your dream. I don't care if you've been playing music for 5 years or 20 years. If you want a career in music, then what the heck are you waiting for? And let me clarify when I say career. This podcast is not just for musicians that want to make it big. This is for the musician who wants to play part-time, the brand new artist who just needs a little push in the right direction, the artist who does want to make it their full-time gig, and even the artist who's still figuring it out, because really, aren't we all? Whatever your dream and vision may be, this podcast will be here for you. I'm your host, Katie Warren, and I am so excited that you decided to listen today. My goal with each episode is that you explore deeper thoughts, build confidence to make your dream a reality, and give you practical tools and ideas that you can apply to real-life situations. Hey everybody, I hope you are holding up and you're staying healthy and staying safe in this time. If you are listening to this later, months after I post it, I really hope we're not going through the coronavirus crazy time that we're going through right now. But if we are, we just take it as it comes, right? It's been hard, and this is a trying time for musicians. With concerts getting canceled and everything, it's hard to stay positive. But I want to make sure that when you listen to this, you're going to leave feeling motivated, and you're going to leave feeling like even if you cannot perform and your gigs are canceled and maybe your tours got canceled, you can still come out on top and you can still build your audience. We all know that an in-person connection is going to be preferred, but because that's not an option right now, let's focus on, again, what we can do that's possible with all of the resources we have at our fingertips. And I want you guys to remember, when you're feeling stuck and you're feeling frustrated because you can't get out there and perform, and you're not even sure that your music career is going to work out anymore, just stop. And imagine what things would have been like for musicians if this happened even 10 years ago. Nearly impossible 20 years ago. Right? So we are really lucky. So let's focus on what we can do. And this episode is going to be about music distribution. So as an independent artist, you are most likely using a platform like TuneCore, CD Baby, DistroKid, whatever you choose. They're all fairly similar with pros and cons. That's going to get your music on all of the streaming services and get it online. But what else? Because just having your music on a distribution platform doesn't mean people are going to flock to listen to it. It's the first step of many. So what can you be doing right now to get your music out there and to get some album sales and to get more than a few streams? The first thing I want you to focus on is getting your music on your own website. Now, we've talked about websites in prior episodes. I have talked about how important having your own mailing list is. So here's where all of that comes in. If you get your music on your website for people to consume and to purchase, you are now in control of all of that revenue. Once you get it on your website, where else are you going to get it? Because those distribution platforms get them on a lot of different sites, but they don't get it on all of them. Are you on YouTube? Are you on SoundCloud? Do you have your music on social media? Those are all things that you need to do to take the next step to get your music an even wider reach. Now, I've mentioned before in other episodes, you should pick a few, maybe 1, 2, 3 at the most, social platforms to be really active on. That doesn't mean you can't have your music on more than that. I have my podcast on SoundCloud, and I rarely check SoundCloud. I check it enough to update it, but that's not my main platform. Yet I still make sure it's on there because there's a lot of people that go to SoundCloud for that. More so streaming music than streaming podcasts, but my point remains the same. So once you get it beyond the platforms that your distribution platform puts it on, now you need to get it out there. And I'm going to cover Spotify just because that's been the most growing platform. Spotify for artists is basically a dashboard. And if you do not have access to Spotify for artists, you are missing a huge portion of analytics from your music. You have to sign up for this. Once you have access to Spotify for artists, your profile is going to automatically be verified. This is so important because Spotify used to say, nope, you need I think it was 250 followers before you had a verified profile. You'll get one now if you have Spotify for Artists. So I want you to press pause on this podcast or just make a note to do it at the end. Don't pause me, please. And go and sign up for Spotify for Artists. Again, it's dashboard analytics. It's going to tell you all about the people who are listening to your music and about your music that is getting streamed. The next Spotify thing, and I guess it doesn't just have to be a Spotify thing, but that is trying to build really awesome playlists. If you can put music together in a great format that, people want to listen to on their drive to work, or they want to listen to when they clean the house, or when they're just in a chill out mood, or maybe a headbanging mood, I don't know, whatever it is. If you have the go-to playlist, you have an audience. Work your music into the playlist that you build. If you work 2 of your songs that are maybe acoustic and the rest of your playlist has just kind of like a chill coffee shop vibe, and you work those songs in there and you start to build an audience and people to follow that playlist and get good rotation on that playlist, then you have just expanded your listening reach. And the more playlists that you can get yourself on and get played, the more data you have to back yourself up when you go to pitch to these different playlist builders. Don't forget, if you're building these playlists, you must mix a few of your own songs in there along with other tracks that are complementary, tracks that you are influenced by. They need to follow the same genre, the same vibe, the same feel. And on the topic of playlists, there are playlist curators that you can pitch your music to. Just look at some of the really top played playlists on these platforms and just try to reach out to people who manage them themselves rather than the Spotify playlist curators that are going to be really hard to get in front of. You'll have a lot better chance reaching out to someone on a little bit lower level but still knows how to put a really good playlist together. There's a lot of resources out there on how to build an effective playlist and how to get more playlist followers. And a source that I really found helpful was on flypaper.soundfly.com. And this is by a guest writer, Laura Buckler. Just want to make sure I give her credit. And she goes over 8 effective ways to get more playlist followers on Spotify. The first one she says is you have to understand your listeners' wants and needs. So again, it goes back to finding your target audience. Who is your target audience? What music do they like? What do they like to do in their free time? Who is that person? Those people, that small group of people. After you figure that out, plan your marketing efforts. How do you widen, as she says, your Spotify playlist audience? Take advantage of your social platforms. Spotify is great, but if you're not sharing that playlist, then you're going to have a really hard time getting people to find it, right? I mean, we all know the sea of social media and the sea of people on Spotify, so you want to make sure you're getting your playlist out to relevant, targeted people, and that playlist will promote very well. Again, if it's in front of the right crowd. I see Spotify playlists on Pinterest all the time. I was running a workout group on Facebook over Christmas to try to stay healthy and motivate people to cook healthy things during the holidays and to maintain a low stress level. And I was finding workout playlists via Pinterest for Christmas workouts. That's the thing. That's a very tight niche, but hey, it helped me out a lot. So look at the different outlets you can promote those playlists in. And again, once you identify that target audience and what they're doing and what they're listening to and where they go online, that's going to help you a lot. And then you're going to want to discover and enroll in playlisting websites. So according to Laura Buckler, she said there are certain websites and networks of curators. She gives the example of playlist.net and SoundPlate. I've never used those, but basically they collaborate with different apps for people to help them discover new playlists to listen to. It's a great fan discovery tool. Another way, post your playlist on Reddit. Just kind of like that Pinterest example I was talking about. There is a subreddit called Spotify Playlists, and they apparently host competitions for the best playlist, and you can win a prize. So it's a win-win. The 6th point she said is use the playlist exchange feature. I heard about this, and I think this is super useful, but you have to tag your related genres and use keywords because that is going to expand your reach. Basically, what it is a platform where you can post your playlists, and it has a description of your genre, your mission, and your audience. And it just helps people discover you and expand the reach. 7, get in touch with other playlist makers. So you have to build a network, just like your fan base. You're networking for fans, you're networking for music industry contacts, you're networking with playlist makers in terms of this portion. Ideally, if it works out, you can cross-promote each other's works, which is a win-win. Stay consistent and just keep creating content. And this goes through your music, through your life, through your career, through everything. Consistent is key, but Laura says you should use mood to your advantage. Just identify some of the different moods that your music can connect with, maybe base a playlist off of that, and go to town using the tools and resources that you have. So that was her article, but I wanted to share that because she has a lot of great points in here, and I will post a link to this in my show notes just so you guys have it. And the last really important thing, beyond playlists, beyond Spotify, beyond other platforms, get in front of influencers, bloggers, and journalists. These people have a pre-built audience. They're consistent. They know how to write content. They're looking for new content. Make sure you have a media kit, and you may need to design one a little more specifically for pitching influencers. I can make another podcast episode on that if you want. Just send me a DM that you're interested in that, and I'll be happy to expand. But you're going to want to get in front of people who have a built-in audience to talk to. Get some interviews. Talk about how you created that first album. But most importantly, you need to show them that you have an interesting story and that it's going to keep their audience entertained. Another thing is make sure you're pitching to people who are within your audience genre. And what I mean by that is if you play folk music, don't pitch your new album to someone who writes on EDM or classical, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious, but sometimes we can get really desperate to just get the word out to as many people as possible. But in this case, the targeted, the more relevant, the more response you're going to get. And just keep in mind that not everyone's going to respond to you. In fact, most people, I'm going to say 1 out of 10, are going to respond to your pitch. Not everyone's going to respond, because if they're a really good influencer or a really good blogger or a journalist, they have hundreds of people contacting them too. So just make sure you're really highlighting why you are a good fit for their blog or their journal or whatever, and what makes you so interesting that they should take the time to listen, to write about your story, to write about your music. I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you some things to do, some things to think about. The music doesn't just stop at Spotify. It doesn't just stop at your distribution platform. It doesn't stop at social media. You need to have this core, which is, I would call it your music distribution. And then the branches out from that core are the influencers, the different playlists you get on, the different networks you push your music out to beyond what your distributor is doing. It's all of these different things to help expand the reach, to help get the word out there. And in return, the more listeners you have, the more you're going to grow your fan base. It all works together. Just stay positive. Don't give up if you don't get any responses from your bloggers or your influencers. Just keep pushing through. You're selling yourself. And if you've never been in sales before, it is one of the hardest jobs out there. Just keep going. If you fail, get back up again, learn from it, take something away. Maybe you need to just change up your wording a little bit or change up the platform a little bit. Whatever it may be, just keep on keeping on along with this whole virus thing. All we can do is move forward. If you decide to get discouraged and you decide to just give up and throw it away, you are not only affecting yourself and depriving you of what you were meant to do and what your soul was meant to do, but you're taking your music away from someone who really needs to hear it. So no matter how discouraged you are, I really encourage you that if you have a message and you have beautiful music to get out to the world, you keep doing that and you keep finding ways to overcome these hurdles, because it's going to be another thing in the future, right? Life is full of ups and downs. It's full of opportunities. It's full of hard times where you feel like you just can't crawl out of that hole. And my friends, we're in that right now. But I promise you, we're going to come out on top. We're going to evolve. We're a strong society. We're just going to figure it out together, because that's what we're here for. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it gave you some things to think about and take away and a little bit of inspiration to keep you going. Most of us are stuck at home right now with the stay-at-home order for the coronavirus, and maybe you have some time on your hands. Maybe you're just as busy. I somehow feel busier working from home than I do in my office, which is a little odd. But I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this today. And I hope you all are hanging in there. If you have any questions, any comments, you can find me online at Intent Artist Management or on social media at Intent Artist Management. And feel free to DM me if you do have any questions. I'm very responsive with my audience, so just send me a message. I'm more than happy to discuss the topics or hear any other recommendations that you may have. Please leave a review. I would really appreciate it if you give me a review, give me some feedback online. I don't have many reviews yet, so it would mean the world to me if you just hopped on and left a rating and left a comment, and I might throw in a special surprise for the first 2 people who do that. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you have a great, healthy, safe week. We'll see you next time on Intentional Harmony.